Hello, welcome to the Word Café podcast. This podcast has been designed with curated content that centers on the power of words. Can we really do anything without speaking? Can we really do anything without the agency of words? Yes, that is what this podcast is all about. And I am your host, Amakri Isobwe, your neighborhood word trader. I believe in the power of words, for it is the unit of creation. I trade in words to profit my world. Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good everything. Wherever you are at this very moment on the earth, how are you all doing? Beautiful. I'm doing fine. I'm doing great. So awesome to be back in this space. You know how we say it. We come into this space to lean on one another's experience and what? Forge a path of positivity. That's what the Word Cafe Live Show is all about. Yes. What do we have today? I have an interesting topic I want to deal with. Yes, Nigeria and the third force. Yes, you know, we're in this state now in Nigeria. The political climate is heated up, and it's like the survival of our country hinges upon the decisions we're going to make, you know, leading to 2023, the election year. So I have a wonderful two people, actually, friends of mine who are so interested, passionate, you know, about this country. And I've brought them, you know, into the studio today for us to talk about enough. I'm going to bring them on so that you're going to see them and we're going to get that conversation going. Yes. That's one of them. And the second, I have Sydney Igbokwe, you know, joining us all the way from Australia. Yes, he's one of us back way, you know, he's at the end of the earth, the way I describe that part of the world. And I have Nick AK, joining us from the very center of the country, Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Guys, you are welcome to the Word Cafe Live Show. Thank you for taking this opportunity, you know, to do this with us. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of the show, I would like you to do some introduction. You know, who are you and what you do and all that. I'm going to start from the ends of the earth, all the way from Australia. Yes, Sydney, go ahead.
Thanks, Amakri, and it's good to be here on the show. It's a privilege. I really appreciate that. Yeah, like you said, Chukwudumebi Sydney Igbokwe. So that's my name, and I sometimes I don't know how to describe how I function, but I'll just say I'm a geologist, engineer. That's my niche area. But I'm also involved in a lot of entrepreneurial work. I run the business. I also support different kinds of social activities, social engineering activities, especially here in Australia. And also I serve also as a pastor of a church here too. It's called King's Church. So I mean, that's my whole world, you know. I'm married and have a lovely family, and
wonderful.
I thank God for what He's doing in our life.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Welcome. Yeah. Before I let Nick in, just to let you guys know, Chooks Sydney Igbokwe, he's been with me all my life, if you understand what I mean by that. We've been together way back, the way in school. Undergraduate days and all that. We actually share the same room, and we've been together. We just share this wonderful relationship and all that. And seeing him where he is today, amazing. Welcome to the show, Chooks. Welcome. All right, Nick. Who is Nick? Let's get to meet him.
Thank you so much. My name is Nick, or Nicholas Ojukwu, AK. Thank you so much. And thanks, Pastor Sydney from Australia. It's my pleasure being on this live Word Cafe with you and with Mr. Amax. My name is Nick, as popularly called, and it's a pleasure.
Yeah,
I'm just a simple guy, you know. I'm a social critic. and of course, a critical thinker as well. I do organic farming. I do farm snail, and I recently wrote a book, Plucking Your Low-Hanging Fruits.
Yep.
So I'm down-to-earth person, and by God's grace, I also serve as the council secretary, for my church. So I've been a church boy right from my childhood days. As an altar boy, they call me one father, So that's been my life, and so coming of age, looking at what is happening, and try to see the much we can, contribute to make life better for ourselves and also for generations yet unborn. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. All right, now we have all the introductions out of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard from Chooks, we've heard from Nick. Nick is somebody, as in if you follow him on social media, Facebook to be precise, he does this write-up that he puts it right. He's social critic. There's a way he goes about his thoughts that you will see that, listen, we can actually make a change. We can actually be the change, Beautiful, beautiful. All right, Nigeria and the third force. First of all, we're Nigerians. And I know we're all proud. Wherever we are, the minute we hear that word, we're proud to be Nigerians. But there's this thing, you will agree with me, deep inside of us. We know that we can be better than what we are today, And I want us to talk about this a little bit. What do you think is the issue with us? Why can't we rise above this seeming challenge that is staring at us night and day? I'll start with you, Chooks.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you put it correctly. We have this. We're a nation with this massive potential. Right from when we are born, we are told that we have massive potential. I think every Nigerian hears that we are the giant of Africa, but it's like a giant that has been sleeping for too long, and it's a sense of resignation. I think we get to a particular point, where we tip off in terms of our growth. As young people, we are excited, we have hope, but suddenly we get to a point where we now resign to fate and say, what, we have the potentials. Maybe the system in Nigeria, the atmosphere in Nigeria doesn't allow for that potential to thrive, and potential on different levels, not just political, but that potential to thrive. Because the question is, you see Nigerians move out of that space and suddenly emerge, suddenly begin to thrive in different sphere of influence. Exactly. So that means there's something wrong with the system that suddenly, inhibits that potential. So I think that, and that's when you step out from that corridor, you begin to wonder and say, why is it that, the question is, why have we not broken through? I think it's because we have, as a collective consciousness, resigned to the fate called Nigeria. You hear people say Nigeria has happened to somebody. It's because we have resigned our fate to that the system cannot be outwitted anymore. So it's a resignation of pushing back that boundary, and I think maybe for the first time it may be changing.
Nick, what do you have to say about that we have resigned our fate to that? It's Nigeria. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, if you look at looking back, because someone said that you live life, looking backwards, and in simple terms, you say history. So at some point, there was something like a flicker of hope, which was cut short. Everybody believed, something was about to happen, and all of a sudden, it went down. Maybe as a scam, anybody can be scammed, and then of course those who believed actually went ahead. But for some of us who knew by history, knew that this wasn't going to work out, and felt we shouldn't toe that line. But then there were pressures and all that, and then we got to the point where we are now on the floor. So we look back again, and we believe that we can actually, come back from this precipice, that we are already on. And I think it is at this point that most of us who have actually given up and would have loved that we have something else, are beginning to think that I think there can be light at the end of the tunnel. So that is where we are. So that's exactly where we are right now.
Okay. Now, something happened in Nigeria. I think that was it last year or 2020? When was NSAS again? It's like time just went by so fast. 2020. Exactly. The NSAS created this, what I call a movement, more of the young people that they came together in their numbers, and it's like to push back and to, for there to be that change. But somehow we saw the old brigade, if I must use that term now, it's like using the rule of the old book, and played a fast one on the young people, and it's like they were dispersed. I want us to look at, were they really dispersed? Because we're seeing something coming up now. Chooks, what do you have to say about that? Were they really dispersed?
They were not dispersed in terms of ideology. They were just dispersed with, like you said, the rule book, which is create chaos within them, use the long hand of the law and the power of state, and basically, crush that kind of level of opposition. Because when young people are rising nationally across board, irrespective of the fault lines that they have always created, the fault lines of religion and the fault lines of tribal, sentiments, and the young people have risen above that to know that their destiny is now at stake, then the state had to intervene, and push it down. But it did not destroy an idea. And that is the beauty of this thing, that idea was still locked in. And it just needed a catalyst to bring it so that it doesn't die. And somehow, the young people have found a rallying point, and that rallying point resonates with them. And so it now created like a resurrection of that innate idea that has looked as if it was gone, but suddenly there's a rallying point around it. And I think that's what has happened. So you can't really kill an idea, but this was almost like dead, but somehow the young people have found a rallying point, because that's what they have been waiting for the 2003 electioneering process.
Nick, what do you have to say there? As in, this ideology, do you think it's still alive? Based on what Chooks just said now, do you think it's still alive?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, nerds. Come listen to the History Nerds United podcast, and let's make history fun again. We interview today's best authors, whether they are established Pulitzer Prize winners or someone debuting their first book. Let us show you that history is not a boring class you took in high school, but a place where the best stories come from. And we don't just cover history. We also love to chat about true crime, biographies, memoirs, and so much more. So head on over to History Nerds United and let us introduce you to your new favorite book and learn the story behind the story.
History Nerds United.
Absolutely, like what Pastor Sydney, stated. That's just the truth about it, because you can't kill an ideology. No matter the more you even try to kill people, that's how the idea begins to multiply. We can see that in Scripture, that the more the apostles, the fathers of faith, were being killed, then their blood, fertilized, that idea, and today we are still holding on after 2,000 years. So that ideology was only suppressed by the state, but can't be killed. And like he rightly said, there's one who has risen to, find himself in the place, become a rallying point, where all those ideas could manifest. And that's why you can see across board, progressives, both old and young, are beginning to think that I think this is what we need to do now. So the NSAS was a prelude to what is happening already, not just 2023. It's what is happening. if you look at the level of awareness that is going on, and people think it's just on social media, but we can see from the videos and pictures that are going on social media, we see that this thing is transcending to practical physical experiences across the country. So it can be killed.
Okay, now you guys have just brought up something I wanted us to talk about way down into the show, but I have no choice but to dwell on it now. Our political culture is deeply rooted in party systems, where you see people talk about the party and not the individual. But it's like what we are seeing now is there's a shift from the party thing to individual, and people are now like crying out for individuals, not necessarily party. Chooks, what do you have to say about that? As in, we're crying, there's this cry, it's not party anymore, but an individual who we see as a rallying point.
I mean, if you look at the history of like our political thing, you see that strong men had made those parties, and those strong men had different affiliations based on where they were coming from. Though primordial, but they had those affiliations. And so people began to resonate with it in the initial stage. But after the experiment from 1999 to now, people have now realized our lives have not been better. Nobody is connecting with us. We don't. And this generation that is rising up is a generation that has not seen pre-1999. They have not seen what happened in the military years, what happened in the June 12, and all that whole saga. So suddenly they are looking for a cause, because the young generation globally always are looking for a cause, what they can fight for, what they can die for. And so that has now shifted on to who can resonate with us, and then we can pull around him. And I think that's where it becomes that individual. We're looking for that individual that may have our interest in his agenda. And I think that's where that shift began to happen, because like you said, the NSAS, we saw that the political class were not connecting with us or with the younger generation. There was a total disconnect. And so the young generation began to look for those voices that will begin to speak for them, that they may rally around, So I think that's what we see taking place currently in Nigeria's political space. There's a movement to look at not just parties or party ideology, but now looking at individuals more.
Beautiful. Nick, I think there's a network issue that he will come on again. Now, just to build on what you have said now, when you go online, social media, everywhere, there's one name that has been gathering this, what I say, uncommon. Okay, he's back. There's this name that has been gathering this uncommon following and what I say, cloud, and Nick, I want us to talk a little more on this individual. Everywhere you go, you see this word. Are you obedient? They use that. He's the first part of his name to create a lot of, buzzwords and all that. Are we seeing him as the rallying point or the expression of the desire that the young people are looking forward to?
I think that the obedient
I like the way you
started that is going on. The obedient people, actually, he is like a totem. He is like a symbol of expression, where people say he's running, but actually P2B, the obedient people are saying that P2B is not running for president, but rather the people are running through him. So he can't say that he's running for president. So the people are the ones actually running through him. So that expression means that he is actually expressing the feelings, the thoughts, the ideas of the majority of the people who are progressively minded and who think that we can get it right. So this is where P2B is not contesting for presidency. It's actually the people that are contesting through him. So he can't even say that he's not contesting. He's not the one contesting. So that's what is actually happening. Why do I say this? Is because a lot of people are investing in this, both those in diaspora. I have a couple of them, online, who are trying to bring in resources, both money, skills, tech skills as well. We have people, providing their houses, painting into the color of the Labour Party, which is the platform. Like I will always say that we don't have parties in Nigeria. What we have are platforms. So they are painting their houses, in that color. Some are volunteering their offices to be used. None of these people have met P2B for once. None of them have had contact with him. So this is purely organic. So P2B is a mere expression of the wishes of people who believe that I think there could be light at the end of the tunnel. Let's try, this idea one more time.
Beautiful. Now, Chuks, what do you have to say? You're in diaspora. What's it like? The obedient movement. What is it like?
I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a global movement. No, I'm being honest. 3 months.
Tell me.
3 months to the PDP convention, I had a chat with a few people, and I told them that there's going to be a big movement. It's going to be the biggest movement Africa has ever seen. Now, we need to get it right. And so, what do you mean? I said, I feel that I am resonating with Peter Obi, not because he's a fellow Igbo man, not necessarily, but that he's speaking to our aspirations directly. And he was going around not speaking to PDP delegates, but he was speaking to Nigerians. And that was it. He spoke to Nigerians. The 36 states he covered, or 35, spoke directly to Nigerians. We became his delegates. He spoke to us in the diaspora. So in the diaspora, the level, I was in a meeting few days ago, and in Australia, the level of mobilization is unheard of. It's unheard of. I can tell you, there are meetings going on right here in Australia, gathering the whole of Australia to mobilize financially, to articulate this. It's not what we are seeing. Even Peter Obi, I believe, in his quiet moments, he's beginning to understand that it is not about him.
It's beyond him now.
It has gone beyond him. And if you look at one of the videos when he entered, when he came to the chosen church, if you look at what he said, I knew that he was a man in deep thoughts. He said, pray for our hearts. He said, pray for our heart, that God will touch our hearts. So that means he understands perfectly that he's in a curious moment. However, he knows that it is going to be a difficult moment to take us from the abyss where we find. So, like I said, in Australia, there's mobilizations going on, how we can help in terms of monitoring, how we can help in terms of creating more pressure that the election must be clean and fair, and also how you can mobilize financially to support everyone, groups that are on the ground. So there's a lot of engagement happening in diaspora. And the truth is that this election has been something that grew from the online space, where the state cannot actually colonize it. So it's very organic. And few months, I posted something. I said the OB movement is going to be an organic movement, and that can shock society. However, we had to make sure that movement becomes reality. And all I was praying based on the electoral laws was that I don't see a headway in the People's Democratic Party. However, if Obi can make a move, he needs to make a move now. 2 days, 3 weeks later, a week later, he made that move. And I said, brilliant, because we now know, and that is what has shifted the atmosphere, because they know that there is somebody on the ballot. There's somebody on the ballot whom we can channel to. So, the diaspora is already trending. We are mobilizing already. There's money being mobilized. So it's not a situation of is diaspora ready to support? No. It's organic, and we pray that there will not be any collusion. We know there will be, but we are going to also monitor that.
Now, some few days ago or weeks ago, before all of this, I wrote on my WhatsApp status. I usually do that. I just sit down and put up some thoughts, and I wrote, obedience is the highest form of sacrifice. And some few days ago, when the obification started, and everybody and all that, and I wanted to go back and let me just resurrect that thought. And I said, excuse me, I wrote this in some months ago or a month ago, and somehow we're having this obesism everywhere. Yes, this conversation everywhere. So now, obedience is the highest form of sacrifice. And I'm going to ask this question because there's a lot of sacrifice that we need to make in realizing, this change that we are all craving for. And one of those sacrifices is the PVC, obtaining your PVC and getting ready to vote. Do you think Nigerians, the young people, are ready to see through this sacrifice? Nick? Hello, Nick. Are you there? Hello, Nick?
I think it's frozen. It's delay for him.
Is it a delay? Okay.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, did you get the question?
Please, can you come up again?
All right, I said, okay, with the level of what is going on now, I wrote something some days ago or weeks ago, obedience is the highest form of sacrifice. With what is going on now, with all the buzzwords, crowding and everything, do you think, because we need to make a level of sacrifice in actualizing this dream, and one of this is obtaining our PVC and going out there to vote on election day, do you think the young people are ready to make that sacrifice and see it through?
Yeah, first, I think, number one, it's obvious that the young people are getting out there to register for their PVCs. Now, we need to intensify, the pressure as well on everyone who are going out there to register, not just to register, but to also collect their PVC. And before even collection, one of the things I discovered is that the paper, the temporary note that is printed out for each person, they have to laminate it so that the information there does not fade out. So I use this opportunity to say that everyone who have just registered for their PVCs, the paper that's given to you by the INEC official, which contains your details that you're supposed to submit in exchange for your PVC, please, as soon as you have that, go and laminate it and keep, because if it fades away, you don't have any claim, you don't have any information to be able to assess your PVC. So that becomes a big challenge. So having said that, the movement is on. People are out there on the streets. Go to INEC offices. As we speak in Port Harcourt, the pastor of the PAP, what do you call
OPM?
Is it
OPM
Power Ministry or so?
Yes, Omega Power Ministries.
Yeah, the OPM pastor in Port Harcourt has donated his church for for people. INEC, he met with INEC and also volunteered to pay for the services of that INEC is going to render. So there should be no excuse for Nigerians not to be registered. And we're appealing to other organizations, businesses, churches, mosques, to avail their places, for people to register. Now that INEC has extended to the end of this month. So we have about 14 more days left for this registration to happen. And so that's on the first instance. So we will continue this momentum. We'll keep praying and trusting God that we will not just register, but we'll also, provide, the information.
Okay. So Chuks, tell me, what do you see from diaspora? What do you see happening in the coming days with respect to 2023?
I think, first of all, this election, like I said, is going to be in stages. We've gone through the first stage. We know the front runners. We know where the battleground is. You can know who are the front runners for the regular parties and PDP for APC, and then we know where the third force is most likely hinged around, and because there's already a rallying towards Peter Obi, and then of course in the north you also have Kwakwanso. Now the next stage is getting PVC. So because there was a Peter Obi on the ballot, and then the outcomes of both the PDP and the APC have shown Nigerians that we need an option, because this option is not going to work for us moving forward. So that has created the upsurge of everybody. We need to get our PVC if we need to rescue this nation. And the truth is that the nation needs rescue. The nation is in collapse. Financially, it's struggling. There's no money coming anywhere. And that's why P2B is very clear. We need to move the country from consumption to production. The country has to produce. If the country does not produce, then there will not be income and revenue generated. And this must be done on a very big scale, from the north to the south. And if you look at P2B's movements, he went to every place and he could identify industries that could, textile industries in the north, food industries, production industries. Once this opens and you start doing some level of exportation, then you will see that there will be forex that will come into the country and it will revive. It's not rocket science. You need money to come in. So the truth is that the PVC surge has created a panic in the minds of PDP and APC to realize that it's not just an online momentum. This is now happening right on the ground. And so that's why you see some areas where people began to be disenfranchised, like in Lagos, in the, say in the Igbo-speaking areas of Lagos, Isola and all those areas, we began to see that thugs were sent to stop people from picking their PVC, not even voting. It tells us what is going to happen. It tells us what's going to happen. If they are being stopped from picking their PVC, it means that the establishment is noticing something in the atmosphere that cannot be, that the people are ready to pick up their thing. If you go to the eastern states, I would say the Easterners normally are not, they don't have aptitude to vote. They just go to their businesses. They don't really vote. So, but this time around, they realize that if we don't do it now, then it will be challenging. And we have seen massive disenfranchising of the Eastern votes. And the truth is that people talk about, oh, the East doesn't have the population. The funny thing about the Eastern population is that it is widespread. The Eastern population is widespread. In the North, there's nowhere in this country you go, you will not find an Igbo man. And it's an Igbo election. But it just tell you that you will find Igbos cut across the nation. So they should go out and take their PVC. And it's not only about, like, it's not a tribal thing, and that's why I'm not going there. It's more about young people picking up their PVC and getting ready to vote, knowing what to do. Some people that have lost their PVC should go and deal with it. You can actually request for a new if your face is faded, you can request for it online. But if you need a physical new registration, then you have to locate a close place where you can do that. And that's why we're putting pressure on INEC that they should extend. If they extended political parties to do their primaries, then they should extend that Nigerians should be fully registered. And there are 20 million uncollected voters card. So people should also go out there and pick up their voters card and get ready for the next phase, which is already ongoing, which is the mobilization phase, especially in areas of the north that we're not so aware of the person of Peter Obi. So there's a lot of mobilization. I can tell you, I've been in many space meetings on Twitter, and I can tell you the mobilization in the north, the mobilization is unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. So, and the level of mobilization that would go on, especially during the election, it will even shock INEC, because level of plans, the level of details, because election is about numbers. So at the end of the day, you need to be on the ground. You need to be there. You need to battle for every polling unit. You need to battle for every vote. So it's not just the talk online, but it's going to come down on ground. And we pray that because it's a 7 months period, that we'll be able to pace up correctly and pursue correctly the election, because the big parties feel that, okay, it's going to give us time, that these guys will tire out. But the truth is that they are going to put many things in block. I cannot guarantee you ASU strike may be called off because the students will need to go back to school. No, these are the things we expect this. We're anticipating all this, and we need to anticipate all this because the government understands that they need to find various loops to hold.
Okay, to hold.
Yeah.
All right. Nick, you dropped off, I think, because of the network, but you're back. Good, you're back.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask one last question, and this borders on two factors we have seen play around in our country over the years. There's always, in a way, determining things, dictating things. And the question is, have we gotten to that point that we are now transcending these two factors, religion and tribe? Do you think we're there now, that we have transcended it, or we are about to transcend it, where people are now looking beyond the lines of tribe and religion, but to objectivity and say, this is what we are looking for? Nick, what's your thought on this?
I think we're not there yet.
Okay.
And it will take a lot of education. It will take a lot of creating awareness, to make that happen. But I think there's already an ongoing, process that we can see. Looking back, like I said, you live your life forward by looking backwards. We've seen where tribe and religion has taken us to. If you look back in 2015, where I said that the general was going to take care of the security, the pastor and the lawyer was going to take care of the system. So we realized they played such pranks of religion. And we also saw that the issue of turn of this particular tribe, some of them regionalized among the 6 geopolitical zones. We've seen that it has never and does not worked. At each point, we see that these two have not worked. And I now say that, and I keep pushing that we have a new tribe.
We have a new tribe.
Yeah, I think that's very poignant statement. I think that's what it is. We have a new tribe, but that tribe is still in, I would say,
infancy. Yeah,
in its infancy. The truth is that something that has been for Nigeria, I would say Nigeria has been a nation for some years now, and that is always along those tripods, the traditional tripods and the new tripods like the South and the Middle Belt and the 6 geopolitical zones. So Nigeria is always on that tripod, and Nigeria is always on that religious tripod. That is why we cannot, the country has not yet got into that stage. That, I believe, will happen after different cycles. And one of the things that will enable that to go, to create what my brother Nick just called the new tribe, is that once there's good governance, the North sees good governance, the South sees good governance, the West, East, North, Central, everybody participates in this new Nigeria. And people, let's take power. If, for instance, across Nigeria, after the 4 years, by God's grace, of Peter Obi's leadership, and we can see that power issue has been dealt with, nobody's going to think about this. Nigerians will. It's just like when in 1999 they introduced GSM. Some companies thought, I don't think Nigerians will want to buy a phone. Another company took the risk and brought it. And MTN, in 1 year, 1 million subscribers. Unbelievable. Nigerians move quickly because it's all about providing service. So it's all about providing good governance.
What works?
if you provide good governance that works, young people have jobs when they finish. Young people have jobs. I look at a lot of CVs from Nigeria and I say, oh, there's no way, because they have not, the person has not been experienced enough. And so it's so difficult. It's so challenging. And the gap is massive and it's increasing on every year basis. So if things are corrected and there's good governance, the boy in Maiduguri, same opportunity he will have with the boy in Bayelsa. That's what matters. And so good governance is what breaks those lines. But when those lines, there's no good governance, then people will have to naturally align to their primordial instincts. And that's what the last government has done. That the APC government actually made these lines visible. So now we see that, okay, actually I'm Igbo, and so I'm out of the equation. Or I'm a Christian, and so we can't become who we want to be. But, it's not. I don't think that's what the founding fathers were expecting that Nigeria should be. So I'll allow Nick to respond, because
Nick, please finish your thought on the new tribe.
Okay, yeah. So I was saying that on the new tribe is what we are projecting now and what we should be projecting, because the old tribe, which had, like he rightly said, has actually keep, making the fault lines, to widen. And we see that even this present regime, went ahead to make it more wider. It's become a gulf that we can no longer continue on that, old tribe. So it's important now for everyone to see, and like Pastor Sydney rightly, stated, that if the first 4 years, by God's grace, that PWB ascends, power, and we see that things are working, and then people begin to see that, if things are working, then the good brains, the best of our men and women, will begin to aspire to lead, will begin to aspire to, come up and do one or two things, because they know that it is possible, So if young people begin to have jobs and the people within their homes can do one or two things without having to have everybody, struggling to come to the city that is not, even as we speak now, we're on generator. Diesel is 1,000 naira here in Abuja. So there's no light. So we can't continue, like this. So it is important that we begin to share these thoughts, this new ideology of tribe, and then as we continue doing that, like he rightly said, it is not going to happen overnight. But whatever happens, a statement is being made. And one of my prayers is that we cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. So if we have tried the issue of tribes and religion without capacity, without competence, without character, and then we want to try it again this time around, I think is a height of foolishness. We don't want to change. We don't want to grow. We want to retrogress. But if we see that all we need to do is to have a change, and that change is going to be, benchmarked on capacity, on competence, and on character. And let me say this. One of the things that happened recently was a house that P2B bought in 1996 when Abacha was still the president. They felt they could go to EFCC, and the EFCC came to investigate. He went to EFCC with the receipt of the purchase of the house. At this point, there was no political activity in Nigeria. P2B was not in government, was not working for any government. EFCC have to apologize to him. So we have a man who, even the opposition and those who don't like him, don't have any, not even an accusation of one thing that he did, either to amass wealth for himself or to dip into the national coffers, or even to award contract to any of his cronies and whatever. So we see a man who is not a messiah, but a ray of hope.
Yeah.
And that is what we are saying, that if such a man, that even those who don't want him cannot pin anything down on him, why don't we look that part? And we see competence, and we see somebody who was chairman of a bank before he was 40 years old. He was among all the people contesting today. None of them became a billionaire. At 39, P2B was already chairman of a bank and was already, major investor in about 3 banks at 40. None of those contesting today can give such testimony, and has remained, steadfast as a job creator, a wealth creator, an entrepreneur. So what else are we looking for? So we need such a wealth of knowledge and experience to bring into our governance system, so that Nigeria can transform and we can lead a better life.
Beautiful. Guys, we've been talking about Nigeria and the third force. Lovely conversation we've been having with Chukwudumebi Sydney Igbokwe, all the way from Australia, and Nick AK from the center, that's Abuja, Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. You will agree with me, it has been a fruitful and passionate discussion. It is not about an individual now. They've said it's about an ideology, a force that you cannot push away. The people seeing their aspiration in an individual, and they're even telling the individual, whether you want to believe it or not, we are telling you we believe in you. Amazing. For the sake of time, we would have gone on and on to talk about, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to take 10 seconds, last words from both of them, and we're going to call it a day on the show. I'll start with Chooks, all the way from Australia. Your last thoughts, 10 seconds.
I just want to say to Nigerians, the future is now, and it's time for us to take it. So we're taking back our nation, and go out there and stand for your vote. And I know that we shall hit the promised land.
Beautiful. Nick?
My few words to everyone watching this is that for Nigerians in particular, the young people, remember the Sorosoke generation. This is your time and this is your season, to obediently take back your country. This is maybe the only chance we may have. Let's strike the iron while it is hot.
Beautiful. And I will say this, obedience is the highest form of sacrifice. And when you sacrifice, be rest assured you will reap the best of the land. Till we come your way again, this is the World Cafe live show. And I'm your host, Amakri Soboye. You know how we say it on the show. Bye for now.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Before we sign off, I just want to encourage you. Yeah, it's been a wonderful time. And also, I'd like to hear from you, your feedback. You've been listening to the World Cafe podcast. I would love to hear from you, the feedback. If you have any questions, you go ahead and ask those questions. You can reach me at my email address, amakrigaribaldi@gmail.com. Amakri is AMACHRIGARIBALDI@gmail.com. And we'll get back. You know how we do it on the show. Thank you.
Awesome time it has been with you on the World Cafe podcast today. Thank you for being there. You can catch me up on my social media handles, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all at Amakri Isoboye. Also, you can get copies of my books, A Cocktail of Words, The Color of Words, and my HRO notebook on Amazon and on Roving Heights online bookstores. You can also subscribe to my YouTube page at the same address. Yes, till we see you again. Bye for now.